we're going to actually, I'm going to do a couple of examples of translating a sentence into an inequality. Okay? We're going to make sure we understand the directions, and then we're going to proceed. It says to define a variable, write an inequality, solve the problem, and then graph the solution. All right, here we have the sum of a number and 8 is at least 21. Sum of a number and 8 is at least 21. Seems pretty straightforward. But I want to break it down into little bitty steps because these will become more complicated and we need to have the steps established. So, very first thing is to define a variable. We look at the sentence and we see, hey, I really want to know what this will be, the actual number, the variable. And I'm going to give it a letter so that when I work through the problem, it will actually be my answer when I'm finished. So I'm going to call a number n, and I'm going to define it by saying it's just going to be the number for which I'm looking. There's the number. Now, we're going to write an inequality. The next thing that I do is I read the sentence again. The sum of a number and 8 is at least 21. Now, they tell me it's an inequality, but if they hadn't told me, I could have looked at this and is at least. I know that at least doesn't mean that one answer will work, so many answers will work. So I'm dealing with an inequality. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the left-hand side and notice that it says the sum of a number and 8. When we've talked about sum, difference, product, and quotient, we've talked about how we need to stop immediately and write a template for whichever word we're talking about. The sum we know means addition, and so we're going to stop immediately. I notice it's just doing two things. I'm going to create a template for this, what follows the word sum of. The sum of means that we're going to add some things together. So we have something right here and there. We know that the word and actually in this case, because it's sum, means plus. The sum of a number and 8. We know that we're going to go ahead and put them in the same order, okay? And difference and quotient, it really matters. I mean, it's absolutely mandatory to use them in the same order. Here it's not as important, but we'll go ahead and do it. N and 8. The sum of a number and 8 is at least 21. So there's some comparison to the number 21. Now, at this point, I don't try to sit there and go, is it this? Is it this? So many people get confused about greater than, less than, and what sign should I put. I actually don't think that's a good way to do it. What I'd like to do is just say, can this thing right here, the sum of this and this, at least 21. So I'm going to just come up with some numbers. I just start coming up with some numbers. It makes it more concrete. Is 22 okay? Would that satisfy this situation? The sum of a number and it is at least 21. We want to know that this thing is at least 21. Will 22 work? Yes. Will 23 work? Yes. Will 21 work? At least 21. 21 will work. Okay? So 21, 22, 23. It looks like we're dealing with greater than or equal to 21. Listen to the words I just said. Greater than or equal to 21. Now let's just make sure it makes sense intuitively now that we have something there. The sum of a number and 8 is at least 21. Greater than or equal to. Just come up with some numbers and ask if it works. Is 21 okay? Yes. Is 22? Okay, so what you've done is you created, greater than 21 or equal to 21. It works. All right. Now, what the next thing is to solve the problem. So I'm going to switch colors here. We know how to solve this. This is really easy. We're going to create a 0, right? Because if we have 0 beside n with a plus there, then we have n. And that's obviously what we're trying to find is n. Here we go. N greater than or equal to 21 minus 8. What is that? 15. Oh, good night, nurse. 13. All right. So n greater than or equal to 13. And now, again, I just read this n greater than or equal to 13. All right? If I look at that and I try to graph it, n greater than, so many people just get confused. Well, greater than n is greater, what does that mean? I don't recommend saying n at all. In fact, at this point, I recommend that you say, whenever you see the letter, you say the word anything. In other words, you say anything in place of the variable. So here we go, we're going to say it again. anything, and then we just go ahead and speak what we see from left to right. What do we see from left to right? From the letter out, I see greater than, so I'm going to say greater than. Anything greater than 13, stop. At this point, anything greater than 13, I picture a number line. I'm thinking, greater than. I already know the answer. It's going to look like this. Anything greater than 13. So here we go. Let's go ahead and create our number line, and we'll graph our answer. Now, I'm probably just going to go ahead and put a 13 here. You know what's going to happen on either side. I don't need to include all the little tick marks. You can do that later if you'd like. All right, so there's that. Now, I know it's anything greater than 13. So 13 is greater than or equal to. So 13 is going to be a solid dot. Okay, anything greater than or equal to 13. So there are all my answers. Every number I could come up with would cause this situation to be true. 13 would work. 14 would work. If I put a 15, it would be true, and on and on. If I put a 12, would it be true? No. So I know that this is correct, and again, I recommend when you're trying to graph, you don't say n greater than or equal to 13. Many people actually, when the rubber meets the road, they can't translate that. My suggestion, if that happens to you, is to use the word anything in place of the letter, and then read from the letter out, and then listen to what you just said. Anything greater than or equal to 13. Most people can graph those words. Thank you.